to call to order the June 30th meeting of the Shelby Township Planning Commission. Madam Secretary, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, Mr. Dallow.
Here.
Ms. DeSico. Here. Ms. Casali. Here. Mr. Bernardi.
Here.
Mr. Waxmansky.
Here.
Mr. Rapone.
Here.
Mr. Fire.
Here.
Chairman Moffett, we have a quorum.
Thank you. First item is approval of the agenda. I'm going to offer one correction, one amendment to it. Under the third item in the site plan number 14-20 Lakeside Boulevard Homes, it's probably more appropriate that be, because what we're going to determine whether the preliminary, the plan unit development has merit, and we're really not addressing the site plan, so I'd like to move that to under new business. And if there's no objections, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to move that to new business.
Well, how about just I offered the correction. Why don't we just move the agenda?
Motion to move site plan 14-20.
No, actually, all I need, I kind of did that.
Oh,
all
sorry.
I need is just to approve the agenda as I did it.
Motion to
Then support.
approve the correction.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Next item is approval of the minutes from the June 23rd meeting. If there are no corrections.
So move. Support.
Moved by Moore, support by DeSico. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Okay, under site plan, the first one this evening, number 14-18, GS Russillian, LLC, an industrial building located at the east side of Shelby Parkway between 23 and 24 Mile. There's a petitioner here. If I could get your name and address and a brief overview of what you're requesting.
Mr. Chairman, honorable board members, my name is Eugene D'Agostini, 38700 Van Dyke, Sterling Heights, Michigan. I am pleased to present for your approval tonight a proposed industrial building consisting of 166,000 square feet, more or less, to be owned and occupied by the Paslin Company. With me tonight are Ted Zimbo, CFO of Paslin, Carrie Hammer, COO of Paslin, my daughter, Maria, who is from my office, and Jason Capitani, who was instrumental in putting together the deal. Paslin is a 77-year-old company started by Daniel Pasquet in southern Warren, and it started out as a machine shop. It has grown over the past 77 years and has survived the change in industry and change in the economy. They currently have 450 employees in 7 plants, all in southeastern Michigan, and occupy about 500,000 square feet of factories throughout those 7 plants. Their employees currently consist of approximately 125 mechanical designers, 55 controls engineers, 30 clerical, 20 project managers, 20 robotic programmers, 70 machinists, and 130 assemblers. Their primary business is building assembly line systems for the OEMs. And they're having visited their plant and their operation, it's a pretty impressive facility, and it's amazing how they can control the people that they have. It's just a lot of intelligent people moving and doing a lot of different things. They have chosen Shelby Township as a future home for this 166,000 square foot facility, of which approximately 130,000 feet of it is going to be plant, and about 36,000 feet of it will be office, and it'll be a 3-story office building attached to the front of the facility. They've chosen Shelby Township, as I began to say, because it is in close proximity to the caliber of people, which is a higher caliber of people in terms of wage rate and education and so on. Those types of people are primarily located in northern Macomb County and northern Oakland County. So they want to be close to the employees to accommodate the employees and the management teams. And that's why they have chosen Shelby. Cherry Creek Industrial Park is one of the nicer parks in Macomb County, and they are very image conscious, and they would like to be in our park, and we certainly would like to have them. Shelby, the planning department, and some of the administration has met with us and has been cordial enough to fast track this project, and we're here seeking approval. The project, the submission, you may note, is not 166,000 square feet. It's something less than that. And the reason it's inaccurate is because this building has evolved. There's been some change, and it's grown. Their needs have grown, and they've ferreted out exactly what they want. And we have finally come to a final answer of 166,000 square feet. So if there's any questions, I'm certainly glad to answer them. The representatives from Paslin are here, and we'd be glad to answer any questions that you may have. So if there's anything else,
Okay. Thank you, Mr. D'Agostini. Mr. Wynn, your report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to amplify what Mr. D'Agostini said, we are moving this forward in a more expedited manner, and for our purposes, that meant we did not do a preliminary staff review. Normally, we do the preliminary staff review, get comments, send it back to the applicant, they make the revisions, and then we bring them to the Planning Commission. Given the critical timing of this, we felt that it was appropriate to dispense with that. These industrial buildings for site planning purposes are pretty simple and routine and not very difficult. And we've had a long and a very favorable experience with Mr. D'Agostini and his development company. We felt that we weren't compromising anything by moving it forward. And you can see we have a number of comments on here. I'm not sure I want to go through all of them because they're more technical in nature. I've shared these with Maria D'Agostini, and most of these are just very easily correctable items. As Mr. D'Agostini said, this has evolved a little bit to meet the needs of Paslin. The same applies for the engineers' comments. Again, these are just a matter of details being resubmitted to our department to verify that the accuracy. The basic issues of setbacks, parking, landscaping have all been addressed. Again, a fairly routine industrial building site plan review.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. To the board, are there any questions from the commissioners?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Waxmansky.
Mr. D'Agostini, in the lower right-hand corner of your layout there, it refers to condominium common element number 3. What is that?
Gene, why don't you come here? You go. No. If you're going.
I think we're talking about the retention pond area is what I believe that's referring to. There is a retention pond that's been designed to service the entire parcel. This development originally started out as a 200-acre plus industrial park, of which the first, I'd say 120 acres, and this is just by guess here, was developed, and it included the Kmart and the industrial buildings that are up and down Shelby Parkway and Investment Drive and Shelby Tech Drive. The remainder of the parcel, which we are now developing, will be serviced by that retention pond as it was originally designed. So that's what it's referring to in that corner.
Mr. Chairman, also, if the question is a reference to condominium, I think most of that, except for this particular area, was originally developed under the condominium form of development. So it's an industrial condominium,
Yes.
at least to the area to the south.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Vire.
you ready for a motion?
I am.
I move to approve the site plan number 14-18, proposing the development of a new industrial building subject to the submission of a revised plan addressing all of the department comments.
Support.
Moved by Vire, support by Moore. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, I'll call the roll. Commissioner Vire.
Yes.
Commissioner Moore.
Yes.
Commissioner Dalu.
Yes.
Commissioner DeSico.
Yes.
Commissioner Casale.
Yes.
Commissioner Waxmansky.
Yes.
Commissioner Pone.
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Good luck, and good luck, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Oh, and Mr. Bernardi, I'm sorry. You snuck in on me.
Yes.
Okay, next item is site plan 14-19, Brent Baker, Dan's Excavating, regarding an industrial building.
Message.
Okay.
Gordon Wilson with Anderson, Eckstein, and Westrick, 51301 Shaner, Shelby Township, Michigan. I'm here tonight on behalf of Dan's Excavating. Dan's Excavating would like to build a 12,000 square foot warehouse to house their electrical group that they added a couple of years ago to the Dan's Excavating operation. It's located on the campus where the rest of their facilities are there. We reviewed the comments that came back from staff, and we are able to address all of those either during the engineering approval or through planning and Glen Wynn. Tonight we're requesting your approval on this project. A couple things that have changed since we initially submitted this is the parking, handicap accessible parking was requested by the building department, and for that what we did is over here, two vans which provides 17 spaces. The parking requirements require 15 spaces for this site, so we're still over that. As far as the fire separation between buildings, we'll address that with the building department. There should be no problem addressing that. The fire hydrant, we'll work that out with the water department and the fire department as far as extending during the engineering a hydrant to service this. And with that, I believe we can address all the comments of the city staff, and we're here to answer any questions you might have.
Great, thank you. Mr. Wynn, your comments?
I would concur with Mr. Wilson that they've addressed all our comments.
Okay.
Another very simple submission,
Yeah.
very, very, very professionally done, and again, nice to see another industrial building going up.
Great, thank you. Any questions from the commission for the petitioner? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair,
Mrs. Casale.
I move to approve site plan number 14-19, proposing the development of a new industrial building subject to the submission of a revised plan addressing all of the department comments.
Support.
Okay, moved by Casale, support by DeSico. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, I'll call the roll. Commissioner Casale.
Yes.
Commissioner DeSico.
Yes.
Commissioner Dalu.
Yes.
Commissioner Bernardi.
Yes.
Commissioner Moore.
Yes.
Commissioner Wixmanski.
Yes.
Commissioner Rapone.
Yes.
Commissioner Vire.
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Good luck.
Thank you all very much.
Next is a representative from Redwood Acquisitions. Okay. Just don't tell us Mr. Bad had enough of us and he decided he's not coming to Shelby. He's not coming to Shelby Township anymore.
Good evening. I'm Kelly McIver with Redwood Acquisitions, 23775 Commerce Park, Suite 7, Beechwood, Ohio, 44122. We're here about a site plan revision to the River Birch Bend development located north of Lakeside, east of Hayes and west of Shaner and Shelby. The site plan was originally approved by the Planning Commission in July of 2013. It originally called for there's a banister drain located along, it runs north-south along the westerly edge of the property. And the original site plan called for us to shift that about 20 feet to the west with MDEQ's and the Drain Commission's approval, but the MDEQ has said, no, we will not allow you to relocate the drain. Instead, you need to improve what you have to a prescribed cross-section, which they have given to our engineer, Rich, who's holding the site plan, and then modify your site plan accordingly. So the first section that you see that Rich is holding and that's part of your packet is the approved layout as you originally approved it in July of 2013. The next one over is the proposed revision. You can see that we lost a unit from building 12, so the density will decrease a little bit, just a small fraction. We also had to squish some of the buildings together, but we've absorbed all that intensity internally so that none of our neighbors will feel any impact from the revisions.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Wynn?
Mr. Chairman, in terms of the process, when we approve a PUD, there's normally a public hearing. The ordinance does provide for a different process for minor changes. And some changes I can approve administratively, but the way this was described and the way the ordinance addresses it, I felt it was appropriate to come back to the Planning Commission to acknowledge it. Really, there's no external impact on this, and even where they've reduced this internal setback between those two buildings, there remains 50 feet between the rear elevations of those two parallel buildings, which exceeds our ordinance requirement, which is twice the height. And I don't think these buildings are even 20 feet in height. So I think the description's accurate. I don't see any problem with it, but I felt it was appropriate that we had to document the file properly. I had to bring it back to the Planning Commission. You may recall, I think I introduced this to you informally about a month ago and had some plans which are almost identical to the ones Mr. Caradonna submitted. And at the preliminary PUD stage, Mr. Moffett was correct. We're not doing a final site plan. We're just trying to determine whether or not the project has merit and move on to a public hearing. And I would conclude that it does. And I also believe that Mr. Caradonna is accurate in his reflection. This probably captures what we were trying to achieve in that area better than just about anything else that's down there right now. It's really more along the lines of what you see are those multiple family units across Lakes on the south side of Lakeside Boulevard across from Lifetime Fitness, where they're closer to the road, the buildings are more architecturally attractive. We start getting in a couple more projects like these down there, I think it'll begin to change the dynamics of that area and provide a little more residential for the commercial to draw on. So I think it's a very positive project, and I would conclude that it has merit and suggest that we send this on to the board with a favorable recommendation.
Okay, great, thank you. Are there any questions of the petitioner from the board?
I have a question.
Commissioner Moore.
Hi, Joe.
Hello.
My question, how much do you propose the rents, the range would be?
The units are going to be approximately 1,350 square feet, and the rents will be somewhere between $1,200 to $1,400 a month. I mean, we'd love to get more, but these are going to be very high-end units, similar to what we've built in the past. They'll be built condominium style, tile floorings or wood floorings, granite countertops, upgraded appliances, one car garage to each unit with a private entrance. So if one day in the future they were to ever be converted to condominium, it'd probably be a $200,000 unit, if the market ever bears that again. But intention is right now is to build them for rentals. And if the market continues to improve and price allows, they may be a for sale unit. If they stay leased, then we'll keep them as rentals. But,
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dallo.
I see Phase 1, Joe, and Phase 2. Are we dealing with Phase 1 only for today?
That is correct. Phase 2, most likely, would never be built. The only reason that's on the print is there's an original PUD plan for this development, which showed some hotel pad and that on the site. There's some very high-grade wetlands on that property, which would prohibit construction without a significant amount of mitigation. It's never our intention to build that Phase 2. The reason we added it to the plan is more to avoid possible litigation or problems with the co-owners in the community right now, and to accurately reflect the plan that was the original intent of the site plan that approved the PUD. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, you ready for a motion?
Yes, I am.
I move to conclude that the project has merit and the potential to meet the requirements of the zoning ordinance, and authorizes submission of a final plan.
Support.
Moved by Vire, support by Dalu. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none. Commissioner Vire.
Yes.
Commissioner Dalu.
Yes.
Commissioner DeSico.
Yes.
Commissioner Casale.
Yes.
Commissioner Bernardi.
Yes.
Commissioner Moore.
Yes.
Commissioner Waxmansky.
No.
Phone. Yes. Chair votes yes. All right, good luck. Thank you. Okay, next, Mr. Nguyen, do we have a planning director's report?
No.
Nothing this last week? All right. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.